Ladies and gentlemen, there is a great prize to be won here, and you could easily argue that at a time of such extreme economic uncertainty, when countries are struggling to find new directions for their economies, building a genuinely low-carbon society is a more certain route to recovery. Of course, there will be difficult choices to make, and I recognize that there will be particular challenges for energy-intensive industries. But if we are to bequeath to our children a world that is fit to inhabit, then I fear we must act now. What on earth is the point of procrastinating, arguing furiously about the science of climate change, while we sail on in the Titanic to hit a rapidly melting iceberg? Perhaps the biggest opportunity is in the form of more efficient energy use. Italy is already an energy-efficient country, having, for example, made enormous savings through action on white goods, especially fridges, with schemes to persuade consumers to replace old models with more energy-efficient versions. The logic of energy efficiency is unavoidable. If we use less energy, we pay less money, and we produce less pollution and CO2. So why is it so hard to promote it? Briefly, last year, when oil prices touched $150 a barrel, energy efficiency suddenly seemed like an attractive proposition. Prices today are now at about a third of that peak, but most sensible economists believe most strongly that the era of cheap energy is over. So now, surely, is the time we need to be looking at energy efficiency harder than ever, in order that our recovery, when it comes, is low carbon and sustainable, and in a world facing ever-increasing energy stress, is competitive too. Now, I know that for governments, for business, and for individuals, taking the necessary action can be tough, and that is why it is vital we remember what very high stakes are in play. There is, however, still time to avoid the worst consequences of climate change, but not much. That is why the United Nations meeting on climate change at Copenhagen in December is so critical. The world then will be looking for governments to reach agreement and to take action before it is too late. And I can only pray they succeed, not least, ladies and gentlemen, in tackling the vital question of deforestation. Why? Because about a fifth of carbon dioxide pollution comes from deforestation, especially the clearance of the tropical rainforests. And not only do the rainforests store carbon in their trees and soils, they also absorb about 15% of the emissions coming from fossil fuels. So while they form around 20% of the problem, they are actually some 35 to 40% of the solution. The question today, therefore, is not one of if we should stop deforestation. It is much more a matter of how. Because halting deforestation would provide the quickest, easiest, and cheapest way, at the end of the day, of tackling climate change and buying time, ladies and gentlemen, because it's time we need desperately. It is the low-hanging fruit, if you like, in the battle to avoid catastrophe. Most of the rainforests are, of course, located in poorer countries, where the trees, the fauna and flora, and the land beneath them have historically been a source of economic development. This is why the clearance of these unique ecosystems, with their associated biodiversity, that is so utterly essential, and this is the point, utterly essential to human survival on this planet, the only one we have, and it might be worth reminding ourselves from time to time of that fact, But this strikes me as axiomatic of the wider struggle we face in achieving a more sustainable view of progress, whereby improving the well-being of people and ending poverty need not entail the large-scale degradation of ecosystems upon which we all so fundamentally rely. This is why, about 18 months ago, I set up my rainforest project in response to the deep concern of various experts who came to me, for some reason or other, in despair at the situation. The aim has been, therefore, to consult as widely as possible and to seek out solutions to this apparently intractable problem. Happily, ladies and gentlemen, we are making progress, not least through helping to build a new international consensus on how countries can work together in meeting this shared global challenge. Proposals are beginning to emerge as to how the $10 to $15 billion per year needed to make a significant impact might be mobilized. Far from being a charitable handout, I see the transfer of money to save the rainforest as equivalent to paying a utility bill for gas, water, or electricity. Only that, in this case, it is for the climatic and other services that are so essential to the whole world. It's important to remember that. Securing the finances we are needed to combat the forces of deforestation will require innovative new partnerships and funding mechanisms. Several proposals have been put forward. One that emerged from my rainforests project involves the issuance of new government-backed rainforest bonds. These would be offered to the investment community and could provide companies in, for example, the pensions and insurance sectors who are looking for long-term investments with guaranteed returns, while at the same time making available some of the significant resources needed to help slow down deforestation.